Welcome back to another episode of Life with Lamb. Today I'm here with Alex Cleary. I know nothing of Alex, and in fact, Lewis, a photographer that I interviewed a while back, put us both in touch. But from what I can see on your Instagram is that you're very raw and vulnerable, which is something incredible and something that I admire a lot in people, especially when you do put it out on a platform such as Instagram for the world to see, essentially, or from what it feels like. But welcome, Alex. How are you going?
Yeah, good.
Good. It's nice to meet you. And I'm keen to unpack your story. It is an incredible one and a very sensitive one and something that resonates quite deeply with yourself. For the listeners, can you describe who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, so I'm Alex, obviously. Like a few years back now, when I was 19, I lost my sister to suicide. So she had plethora of like mental health issues, drug and alcohol problems. Like it was, but a lot of that I didn't know anything about at the time. Like I didn't really know anything about mental health. I didn't really know what she was going through, that kind of thing. So I don't know, back then I was a bit of a idiot. I didn't know much about what was going on. And yeah, I lived a very different life back then, that's for sure. So yeah, that sort of brought me on to where I am today. So I think a few years ago, I don't know how many or what it was that made the switch in my brain where I sort of realized that I'm living like a life of a loser pretty much. So I thought, fuck, I need to turn my life around at least and bring it into somewhere where I can be proud of myself. So yeah, then I started reading a couple books, started to pay a lot more attention to things that mattered, like, I don't know, my honesty, my relationships, my family. So yeah, I think that sort of brought me to where I am today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really grateful for your time and keen to unpack everything and sort of touch on those sorts of things. I think it's very self-aware of you to recognize that, hey, like I'm a bit of a loser and I do want to change my life around for the better. I don't think many people can do that and sit sort of in that honest conversation with themselves. So I admire that a lot. I guess for the listeners as well, I just wanted to list a few of the runs that you've completed recently, just to provide a bit of context for Alex and who he is. You can find him at Clearly Runs. I think it's a very clever name. Actually, who came up with that name?
Oh, well, actually, my brother, because our last name is Cleary, so it's very close to Clearly. And his first Instagram name was Clearly Troy. And I was like, man, that is genius. Why didn't I think of that? So then when I was making this page, I was like, oh, genius.
Oh, I love it. Clearly Runs. And far out, after you listen to this list, he clearly runs. So you've done a 100-kilometer run from Geelong to Melbourne.
Yep.
Oh my God. 60-kilometer run around a 1K loop in Africa. Can you talk to us a bit about that, actually?
So like I work in Africa. I work in Mali, which is in West Africa. And so I work on a mine site there. I'm an electrician. And I don't have many places I could run there. They have like a little soccer oval. And I literally have a 1 kilometer dirt loop around that. And then it's also around a shit farm. So it's like...
So you run faster when you go past that?
Yeah, I don't breathe during that section.
Oh my God, incredible. And then far out, this one, I was like, what the hell is happening? You've done a marathon a day for 7 days.
Yeah.
When was this?
This was my last break. So that was like 9 weeks ago, close to.
Incredible. And Melbourne Marathon, which is actually very handy and very fortune, the timing. That was literally this weekend or weekend gone by.
Yeah, Sunday, a few days ago.
Incredible. And I'm excited to, I guess, dive deeper into why you are running these incredible lengths and what sort of goes through your mind as you're ticking along. So firstly, what the fuck? And then secondly, I know these are like incredibly difficult achievements, but I want to circulate around your why as to why you are doing these runs and these incredible achievements as well. Obviously your sister, but if you want to open up a bit about the why behind it, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, well, I think it was sort of during COVID when I started running. And the only reason I really started running was because, I couldn't play any sport. And I love team sports. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just start running. And then I was just running flat out then. And then I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. Really like the mental aspect of it, where it's really just a mind game the entire time. And then I got injured then, and then I stopped running for ages. And then, yeah, I don't know. I just jumped back into it this year, and I saw my mate lose a lot of weight running, and I thought, damn, what am I doing with my life? Like I'm a loser. I need to start challenging myself again. So it's like these things are nice because it's like, fuck, can I run 100 kilometers? Fuck, let's do it. Let's give it a go.
Incredible. I want to touch on the loser point. I think it's a pretty important one. Like, what did you look like when you were a quote unquote loser?
Yeah, I think like in reflection now, like I realized I was a loser. Back then, like I thought I was all goods. I think just like excessive like alcohol, excessive drug use. That was a pretty big one for me. And it's something that when I was in it, like I didn't really know. But I remember I used to like it's confront like I feel like an idiot saying it, but like yeah, I take a lot of drugs because I wanted to party and I partied a lot. So like, and it'd be like I wouldn't go out on the weekend unless I was taking some drugs. And like this is like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I remember I went to Townsville for Groove in the Moo, and I bought a motorbike. I got it shipped down from Melbourne, got it in Townsville, and I had just a massive bender. And then I was like, sweet, I'm gonna ride this motorbike home. And it was like a Wednesday, so like Groove in the Moo is on a Sunday. So I was like, yeah, like Wednesday's heaps of time to recover. But it's not heaps of time to recover when you don't stop partying. So like you get there Thursday, I partied, went to Cheap Tuesday, and then the next day I was like, sweet, let's ride, 9.5 hours home to Mount Isa on a motorbike. And yeah, I just fell asleep and I crashed doing like 150 k's an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then like I had to call my mate on the side of the road, like pretty mangled, and he had to drive 6 hours to come pick me up. And then in that time, I got taken to the hospital. And then yeah, like I woke up with him like beside me, and he's like, "Right, let's go." And then I just remember like, and then we drove home. So he drove probably like 5 or 6 hours to come get me from the hospital. And then yeah, I don't know. I was just in the car. We drove home, and it was like, what the fuck am I doing?
What even just happened? So you crashed.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of it?
Yeah. Like I was riding, and I was tired as fuck, man. I was so tired, and I was like, all right, like I'll get to Richmond, and I'll have a coffee. But I'd partied so much that I didn't have fuck all money. So I had probably just enough money to pay for the fuel to get home for the motorbike. So if I bought a cup of coffee, I probably would have been shy a couple of liters of fuel, and it would have been a little iffy. So, but I was like, yeah, and like I'll get to Richmond, I'll have a coffee, I'll have a break. And then I was like 30 k's out of Richmond, and I was like dozing, and I'd been dozing for a little bit that day, but just the maturity and not knowing like, bro, just like pull over. Like it's not worth getting home 20 minutes quicker. So yeah, I was just dozing, and then I sort of dozed, and then I woke up and I was on the opposite side of the road on the white line, and then I don't remember anything after. I know I tried to hit the brake, and then yeah, I must have come off at like sort of an irrigation section. So there was a couple, well, there's like all just big rocks to stop washing away all the dirt and shit there. So hit some big rocks, like destroyed the bike, and I just went flying, and then sort of just I must have landed on the right side of me because everything on the right was hurt, but somehow like didn't break a single bone, just had bruises all over the right of me.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is a lot to digest. What the fuck?
Yeah, like, and even then, like that's sort of when I pretty much I didn't stop taking drugs, but I was like I reined it way in after that. I was
Yeah,
like, man,
absolutely.
what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. It's scary that it takes like a moment like that
Exactly.
for you to just snap into
Exactly.
action and be like, oh fuck, like where am I? What am I doing? What's happening? And I think I don't know, I believe in like sort of karma, and things happen for a reason as well. Yeah, sometimes you need those wake up calls to really just switch you back on track. And it seems like unfortunately a almost fatal accident was your calling for it. Yeah, Far out. So what was going through your head as well? Like your mate has come pick you up from the hospital and you're just sort of sitting in his car, just reflecting on it. Were you thinking about much at all?
Uh, I was shitting myself in the car, to be honest, because he's flooring it. Like, he had to leave work to come and pick me up, and like, fucking legend of a friend. But I remember we were coming back to Mount Isa, and like, it's like sort of starting to get late at night, and I'm sort of like jumpy from the way he's driving, and he's not driving dangerously, but I just remember I was jumping, and then I'm like sort of tearing up as we're getting closer to home, and I'm like, fuck, man, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know. It's a shame that all these shit things have to happen, especially in my life, where I'm like, bro, come on. Like, why couldn't you just come to this realization beforehand?
I know, but it's hard. Like you don't get taught about these things as
Yeah.
well until they actually happen, and then you have to pivot and adapt. It's something that's happened in my life, and I'm sure other people can relate with maybe a mistake or something that hasn't quite gone their way. But yeah, just the ability to pivot from that and sort of doing what you're doing now is incredible, man. Let's dial back early days. We'll talk about sort of your upbringing. What were you like as a kid? Did you know that you were going to be doing what you're doing right now?
Geez, no.
Very common answer. So
Yeah,
incredible.
I mean, like, I've always been super duper sporty. Like, I'll play any sport, especially team sports. They're easily my favorite. Like, I used to play softball, which is like not a very common sport, but I know it's
Not at all.
not at all. But I played like for Australia a couple times, which is like it. I don't know. To me now, I'm like, well, that is so long ago that it doesn't seem like
Yeah,
much. But when I was a kid, it was everything to me. And
Absolutely.
even like when I was in high school, like that's when it was everything to me.
Mm.
And then so I don't know. I played a lot of sport, but yeah, as soon as I stopped playing sport and I started working, and then those sort of things fade away, and then you start partying a lot. Like, that's life just took a very different turn. You know what I mean?
Is that when sort of the drugs started coming into your life and
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure when they but it would have been when I started drinking.
Mm.
And then, so like, as soon as you hit 18, like I was drinking every weekend. And because I left school and started working straight away, and I started working as an electrician, so I was getting like good money. So I was pissing that money up the wall like it was no tomorrow. Like, for probably the first 2 or 3 years of my trade, I couldn't even save a cent. Like, everything was gone.
Yeah, it is one of those dilemmas when you start to earn like a lot of money and you sort of don't know where to spend it or invest it into, and then it ends up being partying the occasional weekend, and then it just builds up and builds up and builds up.
Exactly.
I think like there's a dilemma on the spending and the education surrounding what do I actually do with all this money, and like when you accumulate that much, you sort of don't know where to put it towards. So yeah, do you regret that phase in your life at all?
I was talking to my missus about this recently, and we were talking about regrets and things that we might have made mistakes with, but I honestly don't regret anything, because I think all of these things that have happened, like fuck ups or things like that, like without those, I would not be who I am today. And not like I'm some Jesus type, but I'm proud of who I am today. I might not have been proud of who I was, a few years ago or a couple of years before that. But I think without those things that have happened in my life, like, it wouldn't have put me in a different direction, or it wouldn't have given me a bump steer, and I might have just still be exactly where I was.
Incredible, man. Yeah, you can't really change your past, but what you can do is pivot and learn from it. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that hasn't sort of experienced any sort of hardship in their life or made a fuck up or made a mistake that they don't regret, or not regret, but learnt from, essentially. And I think if you're kidding yourself if you sit there regretting it and dwelling on the past and not learning from it and changing and seeing your capability of being able to grow from it. So yeah, I always like asking that question, and one of my mates asked me that question as well. He's like, do you like, if you were to grow up again, would you change anything in your life? And I seriously, I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. I don't know if that's something that you think of as well.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, a long time ago, I would have looked at regrets and gone like, I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't do that. But I think if it really comes down to it now, all the things that I've made mistakes in, I think I've changed all of them now. And so I think those mistakes weren't made in vain, and instead they've propelled me to be at least what I think is a better person.
Absolutely. Treat them as learning opportunities as well. But obviously, if you keep making the same mistake, then it's like you're going to ask the question, what's happening here?
Yeah. Why am I such an idiot? Like, I definitely think that.
Literally, man. I guess so. On a surface level, we've heard a little bit about like the sister, your sister, unfortunately taking her own life due to suicide and mental health issues or problems or things that were sort of swept under the rug. Do you mind opening up a bit about sort of your relationship with your sister? You said you didn't really know that these things were going on behind the scenes until it sort of all came to the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, the worst part is like, so there's a 9-year gap between myself and my sister. So from what I remember when I was a kid was that about the time when I would have been, I don't know, early primary school or something like that, she would have left the house by then. Like, she would have moved out. So I don't have a lot of memories from when we were younger, apart from her maybe breaking up fights with my brother and I. But I have a lot of memories from when I was older, when I was in high school, and she would be a pretty big source of, I don't know how you say it, like life advice, really. But like back then, like I didn't know she had any problems. She was just my sister, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know any of it at all. And then towards the end, like she lived in a different town. I had honestly just no idea what was going on. So it's I don't know, it's almost like I have no information. Like I feel bad about it.
Right. It's like that age disconnect, but also that geographical disconnect as well. So you don't really have the ability to stay connected. It's one of those things that I think scares a lot of people from moving out of their like hometown and away from family as well. So you weren't necessarily like the closest, would you say?
Yeah, I think that whole time period, like from the way that I remember it, is that my whole family, my immediate family, wasn't very close. Like I wouldn't call my parents, or I wouldn't call my brother, see how he's going. In fact, I probably thought he was a wanker. I just remember us not being like a tight family. And then I think about that and I think, man, that kind of sucks. But when my sister passed away, we're like this now. And it's like, it's amazing. Like, and it's nice now because I get to look back on it and say like, you know, my sister passed away and it sucks. It's terrible. Like I wish it never happened. But at the same time, it brought my family very close together. And now we talk to each other flat out because we all live in different places. Like I'm very thankful for that to happen because of my sister. It's unfortunate that was the reason, but a lot with everything else in my life is like it takes this drastic occurrence or dumb decision and thankfully something positive prospers from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure your sister would be more than happy to see your family so connected now. And I appreciate you sort of hopping on the podcast as well and sharing these stories. Hopefully it gets into someone's ears and they realize that maybe something's straying too far away or too far gone and they should start to revert it back before letting it catastrophize into this big sort of event that is very unfortunate. So in your case, your motorcycle crash or even your sister passing away as well. So yeah, just a note for the listeners to take some of Alex's advice. I know on Instagram you've posted your why and it's pinned at the top of your profile and it's an incredible video. I was having a watch through as well and love everything that you're about. You did mention that, you know, your dad, you saw him cry for the first time. What was that all like and sort of how did that bring everyone together?
Yeah, that was it was strange. It was like,
what is your background actually? Do you mind me asking that? Like origin, heritage, culture?
I'm pretty sure Cleary is an Irish name.
Yeah.
My partner keeps telling me that.
Okay.
My dad has got a big nose and olive skin.
Okay. Okay, no. That's all good.
As far as I honestly don't know. I've been trying to work it out. I've been trying to I have an auntie that's been working through all that sort of stuff. I'd like to know more, but honestly don't know that much.
Wow, okay. I actually haven't met someone that like not, I don't know, not educated. No, doesn't like not educated, not educated, but like doesn't know like flat out. Okay, like I'm Asian, like I'm Chinese or something. You know, so
I'm
it's very,
Australian.
yeah, okay, so Australian, we'll just say.
Yeah, we'll just say
And
Australian.
so you were very sort of distant and never saw your dad cry. Like he's a very stoic figure in your family. Didn't really show much emotion until your sister passed away.
Yeah, my old man, he's about 4 foot high, but he is a very manly man. Like he is never like doesn't cry, is very hard. Like even now, like I try and give him a hug and he's like, get off me. It's kind of it's funny. Like I tell him like, Dad, I love you, and he's like, yeah, all right, bye. But like it was weird because like when my sister passed away, she was in Lowood, which is just outside of Ipswich, I think, just near Brisbane. And so we flew down, and like it was, it's just like this weird experience where I'd never had anyone die in my family before. Like all my grandparents had passed away apart from one, and that was it. Like I'd never had anyone pass away that was close to me at all that I even really knew. So we sort of get down there and like, man, it was just depressing. Everyone is just bawling their eyes out. We go to a house and we're sort of just like in disbelief. We're talking to the police officers and they're telling us what happened. And yeah, it was pretty rough. And then, yeah, I don't know. We all sort of just like sat around and I don't know. It's just weird seeing, because it's like we're all in this purgatory where we're all in this house that my sister lived in, and we're all just crying all the time. And it was probably like this for 3 or 4 days, and like we're just packing her stuff up, and I don't know, man. It was one of the worst things ever.
Mhm. Thanks for sharing. Do you mind me asking how you found out about the news? Did someone reach out to you guys?
I think the police called my parents, and then I think it was the police, or she was living with a family friend on a farm. I think she might have called up my parents, but yeah, I remember I was at a training day for work, and I got this call, and I was like, oh, I talked to, I think it was my dad or my mum, and one of them was like, yeah, like Megan's passed away. I was like, what do you even say to that? And then, yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And I just remember, I don't know, it didn't feel real. It was just like I went back into the training day and finished the training day, and I sort of was just like, what even, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It just felt like nothingness. And then I just remember I went home and just everyone is crying. And so then I'm crying, and then we're all like, we pack your bags, we're going, like we've got to fly. And it was just, it was a wild experience.
Far out. I guess, yeah. Like many people struggle to cope with such a tragic loss, obviously. But we're never taught how to cope with this. I think we go about life thinking that everyone in your close circle or your immediate family is going to live on forever and those sorts of things. I guess, like, how did you initially handle it? You said that it was a bit of nothingness, and then you started to see everyone else cry. Like, how did you... I guess like the days after following, packing up everything, how did you handle it?
Yeah, I think it was like a lot of shock, really, because what happened was I left Lowood and I flew back to Mount Isa, and I went to my parents' house and I started making a room up for my niece so she could live with them. So I was kind of busy for the next few days after I left Lowood, because I was painting a room, like setting a bed up and all that sort of stuff. So and it was easy to keep my mind off it, and it was, yeah, I don't know, it was just sort of just keep busy at that point. And I don't know if I ever really dealt with it then, and it's more been a lot of reflection later on. But it's, yeah, because it's like, how are you supposed to feel when your sibling passes away? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, there's no sort of playbook on it. You sort of just do what you think is right and go from there.
And when you look back at what you thought was right, keeping yourself busy, Do you feel like it ever extended too far? I know some people would just continue to keep themselves busy and not actually confront or face sort of the loss or the tragedy of their loved one passing away. Yeah, when you reflect back on it, do you feel like you handled it in an amicable way?
Oh no, it's terrible.
Oh,
There was a lot of drinking after that. There's no doubt about that. I went and played. I was playing softball in Canada and America, and then after that, I went to Europe for, I don't know, 14 days just by myself. I don't remember a majority of that. I went on a Kentucky tour through Europe. I could barely remember what countries I went to. It was, I don't know, it was pretty silly, really.
right. And was this at the height of the partying and everything, or because what age were you when your sister passed away?
I was 19. I just turned 20 a couple days after she passed away.
Okay, yeah. And so this is, yeah, I guess like I'm trying to figure out the timeline of everything. So you finished school, quit softball at that point.
Oh, I was still playing softball.
Okay, yeah.
I just started to take a step back, and then, yeah, I think it's probably after school where I started to be a bit of a loser. I mean, I was probably a bit of a loser at the end of school anyway. You're just young and stupid. You know what I mean? Or I was, at least. And I think about there's many relationships and that time period that are completely fucked. There's no doubt about it. I remember I had a partner back then, and I was a terrible partner, and she was a lovely person. Completely fucked that.
Mm.
And I think about that relationship particularly because I'm like, man, I was such a prick. And there wasn't a single thing in that relationship that I did right. And I think, man, that was such a terrible, but from that, I think now the relationship that I have with my partner now, black and white.
Absolutely.
I'm thankful for that relationship. I'm sorry to that person because I was a terrible person.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to many people that knew me back then because I was not a very good person. But I'm thankful that it happened because I can look back on that now and say, well, here's the playbook. Don't do that.
Absolutely. And no one's perfect, and we sort of go through life thinking that it's going to be all, I guess, fun, sunshine, roses and everything, but I can completely resonate and relate with your point as well. Wasn't the best person in high school, and had a lot of learning experiences. So it takes that fuck up in a relationship to know, okay, well, in the next one, maybe let's not do the certain things that we did. But it's great to sort of reflect on it, and it's yes, sorry to those people that you sort of burn the bridges down with, but I think that's life as well. It's unfortunate, and it sometimes comes at the expense of other people, but I think if you can learn from your mistake and become a better person because of it, I think that's the only way that you can go about it.
Yeah, 100%. I think the reflection part is the most important.
Do you want to continue talking about your sister, sorry? Is there anything that I've missed or?
No, I don't mind, bro. This is your podcast.
I know, but I'm just is there something missing that no?
Nah.
No? Okay, cool.
No, I think you got it.
Okay, incredible.
She's dead. No.
That is, oh my god. Okay, oh good. Yeah, it's just I've had a couple episodes where it's handling the conversation of death and everything. It's where do you draw the line? But as long as you're comfortable.
Yeah, bro. I know, when she did pass away, everyone is they tiptoe around you and they sort of don't know, and they're weird. And at that point, I probably paid to be weird because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But now I'm she's gone. I get it. It's all goods. I'm done. Well, not done, but I understand it and I get it, and it is what it is. You don't have to be sensitive about it. I have dealt with that, and I'm onto different things in my life, but it's a part of me. It doesn't define me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Again, there's no playbook or rule book that you can go by as someone who has a relationship with someone who has unfortunately gone or lost someone that's pretty close to them. So yeah, it's sort of reading the room, I guess. But yeah, I'm glad that you've come to terms with it, and haven't let it define you as such. I guess like the legacy of your sister has inspired Clearly Runs. Would you say that's like one of the big reasons as to why you have picked up running? Like obviously you did softball back in the day and you really love team sports, and COVID happened and you discovered running. But would you say Clearly Runs is like a legacy for your sister?
Yeah, I think it's along those lines. Like, I think I doubt she would watch my content and be like, and would maybe be better. But I think there's a lot of people that struggle with, I don't know how they should think, or maybe different ways that they could think. And like, I'm no guru. I'm just regurgitating all the things that come into my head that make me better or make my mental health better. Like anything that I think that might be beneficial to somebody else, I just spit it out onto a video. I'm like, all right, hope that works.
Absolutely. And you can see it in the content that you're putting out as well. And I love the idea that you're documenting like each week. I saw the sponsors because you're planning on running Antarctica.
Yeah, there's a marathon in Antarctica coming up in December.
In December, far out.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Yeah, we're not that far away.
Oh my God. But I guess for the listeners as well who haven't checked out your content, can you describe like what it is? Like you've talked about the rawness and the realness of it. What is your intention with Clearly Runs? Like what sort of, where do you see it going?
Well, I see it to continue how it is now. Like Antarctica was, well, the Antarctica run was sort of the basis of where I started the page. I thought, all right, well, like if I'm going to do this Antarctica run, and I'm going to raise some money for the Black Dog Institute, like, let's fucking go balls to the wall with it. And let's just try and raise as much money as possible. And if I can, just spit out and regurgitate all the things that have helped me over the last few years to be a better person. So I think that really is going to be the future, just to keep regurgitating this stuff. Like I want to start a podcast next year, which I'm pretty excited about. I want to keep doing these challenges because I don't know how far I can push my body. And I'm no like crazy athlete, but I think that a lot of people don't reach their potential because they don't start or they don't try. And I know I haven't reached my potential because I keep, like, I'm still succeeding. When I start failing a lot more, I think I'll start to realize where the roof is. But there's been so many times already where I'm like, all right, like, when I'm in Africa, I work a 12-hour day and then I run after work. And for the longest time, I thought, well, 25 kilometers a week, which is about 5Ks a day for 5 days, that's pretty much my max. Like I'm too tired after that. It's too much after work. And like, I really need to catch up on sleep because once you do a 12-hour day, you run for 40 minutes, you add in breakfast and dinner, like you're barely getting 8 hours sleep. So that was sort of my mindset. And then one week I was like, no, I can run every day and I can run more than 5 kilometers a day. And I did it. And I was like, oh, I was like putting the ceiling on myself. And I realized, particularly after doing that 1 week, where I was like, I've put a ceiling on myself in so many different aspects of my life. And like, now I'm just really trying to see like, how far can I push the ceiling? Because I don't know, I think failure to take action is like one of the biggest problems of this generation. Like, how easy is it to go, oh, I would love to start a podcast. I would love to do this, but I need the microphones, I need the cameras, I need the lights. I'll make sure that I at least have a few episodes recorded first. And then once we get a few ideas, but you never actually fucking start. Because, to get the cameras, I can't get the shit cameras. I need to get the good ones. So there's $8,000 plus the lenses, plus the good microphones. Like, okay, so once I get up 15 grand, then I can start the podcast. And then, oh, fuck, that's way too much money. Like, I'll just won't do it.
Yeah.
So, like, I think there's just, like, the failure to launch is, like, one of the biggest problems. So there's, like, this saying that I heard from this podcast called The Mindset Mentor, and it's called Ready, Fire, Aim. And the idea is like, ready, you gather what you need to start, you fire, as in you start whatever you need to start, and then you aim after you've started. So then you adjust course. And this has been like, one of the best things ever. Because like, if you want to start running, all right, I have a pair of shoes, sweet, start running. And then you go, okay, maybe later on I realize these shoes suck, bro. Time to get a new set. But you can adjust course once you start and you realize the things that actually matter and the things that are just the fluff on top.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, social media is just, firstly, incredibly brilliant. And then secondly, you start to compare yourself and you start to compare yourself with the people that have already made it or, yeah, are up there. And you think, okay, well, I need all this equipment to begin. But it's like, to put into context, I started with $40 microphones and I was just sitting around a table with some mates because it was like left over. I never would have thought that I'd have, you know, a camera here, some pretty good quality microphones, and all these guests sort of reaching out as well. Not to brag or anything, but you know, like I never would have sort of sat there and been like, oh, I need like XYZ to begin. It was all an accumulation of things. And I think the downside of social media is you put your best foot forward always, because that's the end product and that's what people are going to ultimately tune into. But the majority of people that it affects and discourages to begin their own thing or start something is just, I think it's worse than sort of the good that comes out of it as well. So where do you sort of gather your inspiration from? Like you talk about the podcasting, you mentioned a bit of book reading as well. Are those the things that keep you going as well?
Yeah, I just look at basically social media and I'm like, man, that guy is doing way more than I'm doing. Why the fuck am I not doing that much?
So the positive of social media.
Yeah, I get a lot of motivation. Like you watch Ned Brockman run across Australia and you think, fuck me, 100 kilometers a day. I can do that. Why the fuck can I not do that? Or I see like there's the hardest geezer at the moment. He's running the entire length of Africa. He's like 190 days in or something like that, running around 60 kilometers a day. He's been mugged. He's been kidnapped. Like, this is ridiculous. Like when I think about, say, like run a marathon a day for 7 days, I'm like, that's fuck all. Like, I need to be doing so much more, because if other people can do it, why can't I? Like, I don't know. It's sort of just that mindset. And I think, yeah, I don't know. It just comes back to like on that page, I never would have thought that it would have had the impact that it does. Like I started the page and, you know, I feel like an idiot when I talk on the camera. I'm like, all right.
I can relate to that.
Like, who are you, some idiot? You're walking around a track in Africa talking to a camera to, you know, a couple hundred people that probably don't give two fucks. You look like a wanker. So I think about that and I'm like, yeah, but then I get a message every once in a while that's like, bro, like, this is 100%. This is what I do. Or like, bro, I watched this video and you're right. Like, I need to stop watching the news. Or bro, a dude told me he ran a couple Ks the other day. I just bought some new shoes. I went running. I was like, fuck yeah, bro. Like, that's the kind of shit that just gets me jacked. I'm like, fuck. So like, you know, there might be one message every now and then. I'm like, all right, we're on the right path. We're doing something. And there's like this part of me that like feels really fucking good. And there's a part of me that feels bad for feeling good. It's like, bro, like, are you doing this because this is the right thing to do? Or are you doing this because you like the way that it makes you feel?
Yeah. Wait, that is so real. What the hell? Like the validation that you get from people messaging you. And I think, yes, it does stem and flow and encourage like myself and yourself to continue making content. But I love it. Like, it's great. If you can get into someone's ears, or if your content pops up on someone's page and inspires them to run a few Ks, like that's doing good in the world, I would say. Like there's not much, I guess, like loss from that. And I think it's so interesting because you get people like, say, Liver King, who's promoting like eating fucking livers every day when the whole steroid list is literally so long, and he's promoting products and this is my way of eating and my lifestyle. Like that's how you get jacked. That's when it becomes an issue as well. So it's like, it's this endless tug of war between, are you putting out good content or are you putting out misleading content that's gonna lead a group of impressionable kids down the wrong path. So
yeah, that's the shit that scares me.
Literally.
I'm always really scared about what I say on Instagram, because I'm like, I don't want to just make content. I want to just spout some shit that's legitimately helped me. I don't want to be like, okay, so like if you do these breath exercises and like like it's legit because like I remember when I first started journaling, like I started a gratitude journal and I thought, man, this is fucking bullshit. Like there's no way this is legit. This is fucking trash. But I was like, man, all these people that I respect do it. So I'll give it a go. So for like, I was like, all right, I'll just give it a crack for a month. And if it's trash, it's trash. And that's pretty much been the whole way of doing everything is like, I'm pretty skeptical about all the woo-woo sort of bullshit. And I'm like, I'll give it a crack. And if I think it's any good, then it will be. And if it's not, then fuck that.
It's about deciphering what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And again, it's that like barrier to entry. It's like, am I creating all these reasons to not begin, say like my dream job or starting that clothing brand that I want to, or putting out content about my running? Like what are the barriers to entry to that? And I think as humans, we innately put up these walls that don't let us pursue what we want to pursue. Yeah, it's hard. So I'll put myself in this context. Like I've noticed that I've really regressed in the way that I'm putting myself out there. I feel like I've gotten really comfortable, like in a nice routine. I go to uni, I study, see the same people, go to the same classes, I go to work, do the same days, same hours. I go to the gym, see the same people, train with the same people. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go do something different. So I'm going to like a networking event that the work is put out, but I haven't really told many people because I want to go there, be my authentic self and try and meet new people. And I guess I was going through this rut with the podcast where I was like, oh, like it's not doing very well. I'm not getting that validation. But then you get that one message from someone and they're like, I love like listening to your podcast. It's been helping me so much. And that makes it all worth it again. So I think I was getting too monotonous with the way that I was posting content, going about my life, that it just became meaningless for a little bit. But I don't know where I was going with this, by the way, but I think like trying to put myself out of my comfort zone and dialing back into why you're doing the content is so important. So for you, it's like, I want to spread this message about mental health and my running journey as well. And for me, it's like, I want to spread the message that you should be doing something that you love, and not let go of that, even if the narrative and societal norms are telling you to.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
it's bang on. Like I feel like my whole page is just throwing shit at the wall and hoping that somebody else can find something that sticks for them.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, far out. Don't know where to go from there. I want to actually ask, like, what's been your proudest achievement? You know, like you've done like your week of marathons, or you've done 100Ks from Geelong to Melbourne. Like, what sticks out to you the most and why?
Wow, that's a tough one. I don't know. There's some that I had to go to some pretty dark places, and they're not even the hardest sort of challenges. Like there was my first ultra marathon where I did 60Ks, and it was before I was flying back to Africa, and I remember it was about the 40K mark, like just after a marathon distance, and man, I just started tearing up and feeling really emotional. And I don't know, I'd never felt that way during a run before. Like it was really weird. And I just felt like this sense of pride of like, I'm doing this for the right reason. That was sort of one that sticks out. Or like, yeah, during the marathon a day for 7 days, I busted up one knee and then the other knee was busted for a while. And then there was a day where I had to walk like 15Ks because I was just too wrecked. And I don't know, to get through that felt pretty special. That was a pretty nice one.
What was going through your head in those particular moments? Like you mentioned sort of the dark times and everything. Like, do you think of your sister? Do you think of sort of your why? Like what's running through your head?
I'm thinking, why the fuck am I doing this? Well, there's, I think without the why, I would have given up in a lot of things. There's no doubt about that. And also there's a lot of social, what do you call it? Not pressure, but like I tell somebody I'm doing a 60K run, so I better fucking do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, what's your thoughts on sort of putting out the goals that you're hoping to achieve? I know there's like the argument that you shouldn't, because, you know, like you should work in silence, like keep your goals to yourself. And then that's how you stay motivated, because it's like something that you can just show up for, and then people aren't going to judge you for, because they're not like in your ear saying, oh, like you're going to do it, like you're going to smash this 60K, you're going to run it in record time, in your ear about it. Because I think I'll relate it back to bodybuilding. I know a couple of the bodybuilders are like, they like to keep really quiet, or some of them like to keep quiet about it, because they have these people that don't know a single thing about bodybuilding, but they're saying, wow, like you look so jacked, like you're the next C-bum, like you're gonna win the Olympia, those sorts of things. And sometimes you subscribe to that noise because like it feels good, like you get that validation, but then as a result you might perform worse because you start to take the foot off the pedal and not put in as much. Or that was a very long like alternative, but the second alternative is you put it out there and then people keep you accountable. Like, what boat are you in?
I think you need to go both ways, because like when you tell somebody about a goal, there's a bit of pride that comes into it, because I'm pretty sure they did a study on it where you actually release endorphins when you tell somebody about a goal. So I tell you, all right, like I'm gonna start a podcast next year, and you're like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm gaining those endorphins, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's sick. But like, if you just keep saying goals, like you'll keep getting those endorphins because you'll feel good, but like you're not actually doing anything. So I don't know. I'm in both camps, but you have to back up your words. Like I'm really passionate about doing the things that I say that I do, because I know for a long time I was unreliable and not able to do the things that I would say I would do. And, that brings a lack of self-confidence, I think, and maybe a pretty big lack of self-esteem. Like I say I'm going to run 5Ks and I don't run 5Ks. Like you might not know about it and you might not even notice if like you yourself, but I know I didn't run 5Ks when I said I would. And there's those little fuck ups, really. They're little fuck ups and they keep accumulating. It's like you can compound in a positive way, but you can also compound just as much in a negative way. So I'm all for sharing goals, because I think a lot of times it does help me keep accountable. Like if I put on my story, I'm like, oh, I'll just run a half marathon today. And if I puss out at say 10Ks, then I would love to see someone be like, you're a fucking bitch. I want that.
Yeah.
But even if nobody has watched that story, nobody even cares. And majority of the time, probably 99% of the time, that is the case. Nobody gives a fuck. But I'm scared of that one person that's going to be like, bro, you didn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they might never send that message, but I'm scared of that message possibly coming.
Absolutely.
So there's the accountability towards sharing the goal, but then I think there's also, you need to stack those small wins to compound for you. So I'm in the middle.
Yeah. What's it like sort of juggling it? Because I like that analogy about being unreliable, and when you can see yourself becoming someone that just puts out these random goals or messages. I myself have done that, and I'm sure a lot of people have as well, where they've sort of put it out there that, I'm gonna achieve X, and then they just don't do anything about it. Like I've done it so many times and I'm so aware of it. What's it like balancing it, and how do you go about it?
Whew, that's a tough question. Well, I think it starts with very good positive reflection. I think I spend a lot of time reflecting. Like I reflect at the end of each day. I reflect at the end of each week, each quarter, each year. And it's something that I particularly have been heavy on this year. Like I sort of did bits and pieces of it last year, probably not very consistent, but this year, very consistent. Always do my weekly, quarterly, yearly reviews, which it sounds ridiculous.
It actually does. I have a mate who does it as well, but can you talk to us a bit about it? Like, what are you reflecting on? I myself sometimes find myself just like forgetting about literally like what I ate for breakfast. So it's hard to reflect sometimes. Have you put in any strategies in place where you're like, okay, these are the points that I want to reflect on? Do you do it daily or is it just weekly?
So I do a few different ones, and all these things have like added over time. So it's not like one day I woke up and I was like, all right, I'm doing a to-do list. I've got a gratitude journal. all right, quarterly meetings with my, like, I never, it was never like that.
Yeah.
It was like one day I decided to start making a list of like 10 things to do each day. Not each day, but the 10 most important things to do that day. And then I would be, all right, well, I keep forgetting the things I need to do this week. So at the start of the week, I would write down, well, the start of the week now, I write down the things I need to do this week and their priority, 1 to whatever it is, 10, 15, 20. And then each day I write, all right, what are my goals for today? So I go to my list, what is 1, what is 2, what is 3? All right, that'll do. And then the things, so they're the things that I need to do that day. Then there's also like my daily habits that I try to do. So like get in some supplements, cold shower, something along those lines, ice bath, whatever, go for a run, make sure I'm reading. Like, and these are not things that I started with. These are things that I've forced myself to do because I know that they're beneficial. So, well, yeah, like for the day, I have like some goals. For the week, I have some goals, and then every day as well, I do three things I'm grateful for.
So it's stuck.
Yeah, no, that's stuck. That
Yeah.
one was a really good one because honestly, it sounds like bullshit, and I 100% think it still sounds like bullshit. But one day I was in Canada and I'd been doing this for maybe 2 weeks, and like, I don't know, I didn't see any results. Just writing some shit down.
Yeah, it's like I'm not Jesus yet.
Yeah, and I was talking to my old man on the phone. Well, I was walking home from work. It was nighttime. I looked up and I was looking at the stars, and then I was listening to my dad talk, and I was just thinking about how grateful and thankful I was to have him in my life, somebody who is super intelligent. And in that moment, I was so present, and I thought, fuck, there's no way I would have done that if I hadn't been writing this shit down. Like, there's no way. That's not something that I would ever usually think about. And then from that moment, I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to keep doing this. And then I've had sort of many moments like that since, and I'm like, fuck, this is legit. This is legit.
Might have to get on it. I feel it actually, it goes back to that thing about just start.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Ready, aim. No. Sorry.
Ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. God, see, my fucking memory's so shit. But yeah, it's like you just started with a to-do list, and I love a rolling to-do list. Like, I forget things all the time. So I'm like, literally, if I get something that I need to do, I'll just write it down. And then that's it. Like, it's been written down, and that, I guess, like, fires my memory even better because I've like actually written it down and it's gone into my head. But yeah, I love the idea of a rolling to-do list and the goals and like setting your intention and all this woo-woo shit that might sound like it's useless and what the fuck is it gonna do? But I think the 2-week mark is about where you start to form habits. And I think that's when it sort of kicked in with you, like the looking up at the stars, and people might be like, oh, that's such bullshit. But I feel like it would actually work.
Yeah, I feel like if you take anything from me, it's that I think most of the things that I started with were bullshit until they had some effect on me. I'm like, all right, okay, all right. Like same thing at the end of the week. I used to just write down like things that I could improve from the week, and then that changed into like a full document that is on like Notion now. Now I have like an overview of just things that I wanted to write about during the week, like things that might have happened, the way I felt about things. And then there's like a financial section, which honestly I'm not great with just yet. We're working on that one. And then there's like things that I can improve for the next week. And then the last one is like the best thing that happened that week. And that one started this year, and I'm super stoked about that one because at the end of last year, I was kind of thinking, man, this year was not that great. Like, not that many cool things happened. And it took like a lot of reflection before I started to remember, oh, no, that's right. Like, I traveled Australia for a little while. I lived in Canada for a bit. Like, yeah. And then I was like, man, I need to remember the cool things that happened during the week. And now it's kind of cool because, you know, we're in week 43 or something of this year.
It's week 43, jeez, it's just
Or
like,
week 4, we're around there somewhere.
I have absolutely no clue. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I look back on like the first couple of weeks of this year, and I'm reading some of the shit. I'm like, fuck, man, that's sick.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that gets me so excited. And it brings me back to this point with Anthony. I interviewed Anthony Ng a couple of weeks back, actually. And he Actually, no, he didn't mention it in the interview. I actually went to a workshop that he held after the interview, and essentially he asked us to pick a year, whenever, like maybe in the next 10, in the past 7 to 10 years, pick a year. And he said, how many cool stories can you remember from that year? And I literally was like, I struggled for three. Like, I shit you not, I struggled for three. And it just illustrated to me how non-reflective I was, and how I couldn't remember these incredible things that would have happened in that year. Like, I'm sure if I sat down, looked at photos and those sorts of things, I'd be like, oh, like I remember that cool time where I went out with my friends and we did this and it made me feel this way, but I wasn't able to recall it. So it's such a skill to be able to like write it down and then have this sort of bank and collection of memories, because we're only here for a finite amount of time. We might as well reflect and be grateful about the opportunities and experiences that we've had.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's cool because, you know, at the end of this year, I'm gonna have 52 of the coolest things that have happened this year, and I'll be able to read that forever. But like in that is like before I did this reflection, I was a loser. You know what I mean? So like as soon as I start, like it's legit. Like as soon as I started reflecting on how I treated my relationships, how I treated my financial situation, how I treat my body, all these things, like before I reflected on those, it wasn't even in your mind. But as soon as you start to think, oh, like, yeah, I've been treating like girlfriends like shit, or yeah, I haven't really been touching base with friends. And then you start realizing these things, you're like, oh, bro, I got to do something about that. Cause like, if I want to be the person that I think I want to be, well, the person I want to be, he looks after his girlfriend. He makes sure that he's touching base with his friends. He makes sure that his family is proud of him. He makes sure that he's doing the things that he's committed to. Like, if I want to be this man, like, I have to do these things. And as soon as you start reflecting, you're like, fuck, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Fuck, no, Jesus. Like, and you're like, fuck, well, am I the man that I think I want to be? Or am I the man that I want to be? Am I working towards the man that I want to be? And if I'm not, then I'm looking at these things, I'm going, fuck, I'm a loser. Like, it's legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then, like, now I can look back on some things and I go, fuck, man, like, I didn't think I could do that. I never would have thought I could do that. That probably still needs a bit more. But I'm working towards the man that I want to be. And I think that's the most important thing for me.
Oh, brilliant. Are you a Notion guy, or are you like I like to handwrite a lot of these things, like, or are you blend of both?
I'm blend of both.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a bit about it? So do you still have that book that you write your rolling to-do list and the goals and 3 things that you're grateful for?
Yeah. So I have one small notebook, and that's just my gratitude journal. And then I have another, it's A5, I think.
Yep. Yep.
And it has like my weekly goals and my daily goals. And then the Notion document it's called a life wiki.
Life wiki. Is this a free template that you can get?
It is a free template on there. And
I need to get onto it.
yeah, because it makes more sense for me, because once I started using the life wiki, like you just make it however you want, obviously. But like you add things, fuck a few things off. Like it's banging. It's banging. Because like I've got in there, you know, like my quarterly review. Like I sound like some mad businessman, but I'm just an idiot who's fucking playing around with the computer. But like I have like a quarterly review in there. I have like my yearly goals and like the things that I set. So I only started this year, but like I have, this year has a theme. So the theme is the year of personal improvement. I think I've been doing all right with that. And then all of my goals relate to that theme. So like some of the goals I had this year was run an ultra marathon. Also had in there to do a stand-up open mic night.
Oh, incredible.
I tried to do that last night, but I didn't get on stage. But I was shitting bricks. Like,
so how does that work actually? So do you just wait around in the crowd until...
I think you throw your name down. It was the first time I tried to do it, but we didn't get up. It doesn't matter. But like, and then there was another one, like I wanted to go skydiving this year. I've tried twice. Both times the weather's been no good. I wanted to go hot air ballooning this year. I did that. Like there's a bunch of things that I put on there that were pushing me out of my comfort zone. Like I wanted to read 12 books this year. I read 12 books in like the first 6 months. I smashed it. But for me, reading 12 books is nuts. Like before this year and before the year before, I might have read 3 books in my entire life. So like it's been a really big challenge for that. But like I'm proud of that one, especially because I'm a terrible reader. I'm slow as fuck.
Same.
It takes me ages to understand what I'm reading, especially like a couple of finance books that I read. Took me ages. But like all of those goals are related to the intention of personal improvement. I think, I'm excited to see what next year is going to be, but I don't know what it'll be. I'll work that out at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I love it so much. And yeah, it might sound a bit like stupid that, like, oh, why are you organizing your life as if, like you're this businessman or something? But I think I actually, this is my New Year's resolution. I'm going to put it on air so then I actually stay accountable to it. But, oh, see, goals, hey, far out. I said I was not in the camp. But no, I want to try and sort of like review how I was like now versus then, because I think now more than ever, I definitely need to implement something in my life that is going to get me out of this sort of monotonous rut of, like just doing uni, training, and like working and those sorts of things. And those things are important, but how can I be more like intentional with it and be more reflective instead of just like turning up and just being there? And how can I change it for the better? So I love that, man. Thank you for sharing it. That's so good. And you feel like you've obviously transitioned from like a loser to the person that you are today.
Yeah, less of a loser.
Less of a loser, exactly. I think there's always the gap between who you are now versus who you want to be, and I it's so exciting being able to like close that gap, but you're never gonna obviously achieve it. It's this just continuum of you trying to chase this higher self, and it's exciting, man. Like how high can you go, essentially?
Yeah, well, pretty much. Like, yeah, I was here. I'd like to think I'm a bit up from there, and I know that there's a long fucking way to go to be the man that I would like to be. So I don't know. It's you sound like a wanker saying shit like that, but like I see a version of myself that is perfect, and I want to be that person that is stable for a family, that person who is financially free, that person who helps people. And it's kind of strange because like I never thought that would be the kind of person that I'd want to be, but after starting this sort of journey with the fundraising and that, like I'm like, fuck, man, it feels really good to help people.
Love it. Look, you've spoken really I guess like candidly, and you're very raw and sort of in touch with your emotions, probably better than most guys are. Have you always been like that, or do you feel like it's a result of you journaling, being reflective, or even your sister's influence as well? What's it been?
No, I was previously a loser. Nah, I don't think I was always like this. Absolutely not. I think the greatest strength of reflection is being able to look directly at yourself and say, you are a loser. Like it is point blank. Like I think without reflection, I would never be able to speak the way that I am. I think I've always been reasonably good at being able to be honest with myself and say, you probably could have done that better. You could have done that. But I think without that reflection, it's hard to really pinpoint what those problems are. Like, yeah, I think, yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who are, sort of on the edge, like, oh, I don't really want to put myself out there. I don't know where to start in terms of like having conversations and being real with myself, or even in relationships?
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. There's no doubt about it. Like this year, I started talking to a psychologist, and not because I think I have anything too wrong with me, but I really think that everybody should talk to somebody. And for me, I think a psychologist makes sense because I don't know them at all, and I'm paying them, so they will listen. And it's not like a crazy expense. Like I've only done it 3 times this year. The goal was to do it 4, so I've got 1 more time this break. But being able to talk to a psychologist has been super helpful, because now, it feels nice to be honest. And it's definitely something that I see as the perfect version of Alex is an honest, straightforward guy. So if I want to be that person, then I need to be honest. And that's the same way I think I have to bring myself to the relationships around me. Like, especially with my partner, like this is probably the first relationship where I've been 100% honest, not a single lie. And that makes me feel really proud, because I know it's really easy to lie, and it's really easy to not realize that you're lying. Like I read Sam Harris's book about lying, which is it's really short. It's just about the philosophy of lying. And when I read that, I thought, fuck, like little white lies, all these things, they're so easy, and they just roll off the tongue. You don't even notice. Like I'll tell a story, and my old man's favorite saying is like, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And he's funny because it's legit. It is. It's 100% right. I still agree with that. But at the same time, like being honest and upright is very uncomfortable. Like with the reflection thing, like my partner and I, we just did our first, like we call it a not a meeting, which is where we're just talking about like our relationship and how we feel and our emotions and this kind of stuff. And, you know, to me, it sounds ridiculous.
No, I fucking love that.
But like I really believe that if it works in my life, then it should work exactly the same in my relationship. And I'm super stoked that my girlfriend feels exactly the same way. So I'm really appreciative of her giving it a go. And it only took that first time that we did it that I'm like, fuck man, this is legit. Because we started the conversation and like we're talking about each different aspect of our relationship, our communication, our emotions, and those sort of things. And like we had like a really deep conversation about like our expectations, like how we feel in the relationships, that kind of stuff. And to me, it sounds super ridiculous. But like when we're having it, like it's probably the best thing that I've ever done in a relationship, and I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. You pour so much love into this person. You obviously want to be their team player in your little duo, if you call it like that. I love referring to relationships as like a team sort of thing and not just like, oh, like she's my missus and you know, like does that make sense? I don't know. Like a team player, like you're working towards a common goal and a higher version of like yourselves. Does that make sense?
Right, 100%. I'm 100%.
Okay, thank God.
I'm on you with that. So like she is my partner. She is my teammate, and we together are gonna make amazing thing happen. I hope. And that's I 100% believe that. Like
Absolutely.
Like we are a team, and we're going in the same direction, and that's the most important thing to me.
100%, man. How did that conversation go about? You don't have to give details and everything, but did you set like an agenda? Because I think that's like so unspoken about. I don't know if many relationships do that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'd never done in a relationship before. But yeah, like to me, it just made sense. Like I do this for my own relationship to myself. So, and I think it's been amazing for me. So why would I not do this with my partner? We only just did this recently. So we rolled up. We had a couple of questions that we both thought were probably relevant and would be good. And we pretty much just made a Notion page and we put a bunch of categories and a couple of questions in each category. And that was the first one sort of done. We probably spent a couple of hours just sitting there talking. At a pub, we had dinner. Like it was nice.
You did it at a pub.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, we went there early, so there weren't many people.
Yeah, literally, you're like screaming, "I love you!" Shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, incredible. Wait, next date idea. I feel like that's so good. And how long have you two been together, if you don't mind me asking?
Right, not that long. Like
wow, okay.
Probably since like June, July sometime.
Oh wow, okay. So very like it's very raw. I love that.
Yeah, pretty much. Like she's pretty special.
Yeah. Well, by the sounds of things, I don't know many relationships where someone would be willing to have that conversation. I don't know why, but it's just something, it's hard. It's uncomfortable. You don't want to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, even with someone that you're like in a relationship with sometimes. So yeah, far out. Next date idea. I love it.
Yeah, it's a hard one as well because like it is so uncomfortable to have these conversations sometimes, but without those conversations, the relationship is not as good or will not last. And my partner and I, we were talking about it while we were there, and she's like, is it bad if I feel embarrassed like about this? And I was like, well, are you embarrassed because people might hear our business, or are you embarrassed because they might realize what we're doing? And she's like, oh, like both of those things. And I was like, well, like it's fair to be embarrassed about people listening to our business, which was thankful that we only had someone come sit near us like when we were almost finished. And the second part of that is like, I kind of think, well, if this makes us last together for 50 years till death do us part, then I don't see it as being embarrassing. I see it as like something that we do in our relationship that brings us together and creates longevity. So I don't know. I kind of think the same way as like with my content is like it is embarrassing putting myself out there because I think you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But I kind of think like I feel great about doing it. One, two people might fucking think it's great, and like that's enough for me. That's enough for me to go, well, I might look stupid to somebody, but hopefully it gives somebody else the confidence or the idea to do something different with what their life looks like.
Absolutely. I think so many relationships go past where it's like the sexual aspect comes through and that's it. Like you're sexually obviously compatible because you're I guess like sleeping with each other. Don't want to assume too many things, but the emotional aspect and like the actual intrinsic connection between the two of you is never really touched on. It's always that intrinsic aspect. It's like, oh, so the extrinsic aspect where, oh, like, oh, she's great. Like I don't know, our sex is awesome and those sorts of things. Just to put an example out there, but a lot of things go unspoken and then resentment builds up as well. So as soon as you can address those in, I don't know, whether it's a quarterly thing or a weekly thing or a yearly thing as well, I think it's so important that you're addressing these issues as you go, because that's what makes a strong team. Like when you're addressing these issues or barriers or problems that are arising. So, I love it. Like that lights me up so much. Like so incredible to be able to talk and thank you for sharing as well. Like obviously it's your own personal business with your partner, but I think it's such a great piece of advice for people who are in relationships, even friendships as well, man. Like why not just apply it to everything? Like I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if my friends would be that keen. Look, you're a loser.
Yeah. Look, don't sit me down in the. That's just don't sit me down in front of the pub with everyone. Yeah.
It's been nice, but to preface, like this is the first time I've done it. I've never done this in any other relationship. Like I would never even have thought to do it in a previous relationship. Like I didn't just roll up and I'm like, all right, like this is gonna make us perfect. Like it took many, many times of fucking up, being a shit boyfriend, being a terrible partner, like before I came to like a lot more honest and upfront sort of personality.
Absolutely. But it shows that you care and that you want to make that change as well. Like you're trying to innovate and bring in things that will excite the relationship and make it a better thing, because like that's the aim of a relationship. Like you're with this person because you truly adore them and you love them for who they are. And why not make that better by having these conversations?
Yeah.
I love it. What's next for you, man?
What's next?
Yeah.
Well, obviously like Antarctica's coming up in December. That's actually that's not what's next. That's what's second.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we got Port Augusta is coming up next weekend.
So at the time of recording, we're mid-October. Yeah.
Yeah. The 28th of October, I think it is.
Ooh.
A Saturday. We're going up there. Lewis is coming.
Shout out.
Yeah. We're flying over. We're going to do 85K ultra marathon there with my main sponsor, Outback Mining Services. So they're awesome down there. So we're going to have a good bit of fun up there. And then I go back to work for 5 weeks, unfortunately. And then we have Antarctica. And that's going to be pretty exciting. And then next year, the podcast is going to start, I think, around April. So you can hold me to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think around April. We'll see. And then, I'm going to, next year, I was hesitant of whether or not I should mention this, but I'm fucking doing it. I'm going to run from Sydney to Melbourne.
I saw that actually in the form that I sent over to you. Yep.
Yeah, I want to do it in 11 days, which would be 100 kilometers a day for 10 days and some other shit for the last one.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. And like the fact that scares the fuck out of me is the reason why I want to do it. I think it'll be sick.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is going through your head? You know, like these things scare you. You're having these uncomfortable conversations. You know, like you're putting yourself out there online as well. Like what is going through your head? You know, so many people are so reserved and just don't want to put themselves out there or put themselves in that spotlight or feel uncomfortable as well? Like what is running through your head?
What I will think of myself when I'm 80 years old, that scares the fuck out of me. Is like David Goggins has like this point where he's like, I want to get to the gates of heaven, and they say like, oh David, like you did all this shit. Oh, we had to start writing shit out because you were doing more than we thought you could. Like, I don't want to get to 80 and be like, oh man, like I want to do a podcast for ages, or yeah, I wanted to run across Australia, but I just couldn't find the time, or I never wanted to work as a Sparky forever. Like, I don't want to get to that age and be like, well, fuck, you're a loser. Like, you fucking do it. Like, it scares the fuck out of me thinking about living a life where I didn't try those things that scare the fuck out of me.
Incredible. Alex, we've gone a little bit over time, but I love it so much. Like, it's been such an incredible conversation, and I'm so grateful for you sharing your story, firstly about your sister, but then also yourself as well, and the hardships that you've had to endure, and sort of the practices that you've began to implement into your life. I hope people can take that and resonate really deeply with it and bring it into their own lives and become better people as a result. I love that last closing message of, yeah, when I'm 80, I don't want to look back and feel as if I did fuck all and didn't enjoy my life. Like, we've only got one life and we're afforded this one opportunity. Let's go and do something that we love and do something that lights us up. I can't thank you enough for your time. I'm sure the listeners would have gained some sort of value out of it, and I wish you all the best with your future endeavors. Do you have anything that you want to end on?
Nah, just have a crack.
Have a crack.
Have a fucking crack.
I fucking love it, man.
I appreciate it. It's been good.
It's been good. Love it. All your socials will be in the link below. Be sure to check it out. He's got some good content. I love it. I love it so much. And be sure to follow at Life with Lamb Podcast, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Deal.